Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that jealousy can be the most seductive poison, and Bill is about to learn that the hardest thing to let go of is the woman who once knew every piece of his soul. The tension between Bill, Danny, and Andre begins like a faint vibration under calm waters, something invisible but impossible to ignore. It starts with looks that linger too long, messages unanswered, and the haunting pull of a history neither of them can fully escape. At first, Bill convinces himself it's harmless curiosity. He tells Haley that he's only concerned for Danny's stability after everything she's been through. He frames it as compassion, a duty, even. After all, they share 2 children, Naomi and Chelsea. But late at night, when he scrolls through Danny's photos, the lie reveals itself. He's not checking on her well-being. He's watching the man standing next to her. Andre's presence is disarming, calm, steady. The kind of man who seems unbothered by the chaos others create. Where Bill burns hot and quick, Andre moves like water, cool, deliberate, unshakable. And that quiet confidence makes Bill furious. Andre doesn't have to fight for Danny's attention. He already owns it. The first time Bill sees them together in public, it's at a community gala for the Fairmont Crest Foundation. Danny looks radiant, that particular blend of strength and fragility that always drew people in. Andre hovers nearby, not possessively, but with an ease that says he belongs there. Bill feels the old rhythm in his chest, the one that starts like memory but ends like obsession. He forces a smile, strides across the room, and interrupts their conversation with the practiced charm of a man who knows his angles. Danny's laughter falters. Her eyes shift, calculating. Andre merely steps aside, polite but distant, letting the tension speak for itself. From that moment, Bill's jealousy becomes a pulse that dictates his every move. He begins to track Danny's routines, the cafes she visits, the gym where she meets her friends, even the routes she takes when walking the dog. Technology makes it too easy. Her posts, her stories, her tags, they form a map of her life, and Bill reads it like scripture. When that's not enough, he hires someone, a private investigator named Calvin, to dig into Andre's past. "I just need to know who we're dealing with," Bill says, pretending it's about protecting the kids. But the tone of his voice gives him away. Calvin is efficient. Within a week, he brings folders, photos, and snippets of Andre's life before Danny. Nothing scandalous, nothing criminal, just details: where he lived, who he dated, the small heartbreaks and reinventions that make up a man's story. Bill pores over them like a detective searching for a crime that hasn't happened yet. The more he learns, the angrier he becomes, not because Andre is hiding something, but because he isn't. Andre's record is clean, his intentions transparent. That purity becomes an insult. Bill thrives on complication. Andre's simplicity feels like a threat to everything Bill understands about power and love. Still, Bill keeps showing up. He finds excuses: shared custody discussions, Naomi's school projects, Chelsea's therapy sessions. Danny starts to notice the pattern. At first, she tells herself it's coincidence, but the overlap is too perfect. Wherever she and Andre go, Bill somehow appears: at the farmer's market, at the art gallery, even at the quiet wine bar where Danny once promised herself she'd stop thinking about her ex-husband. When he approaches, there's always the same dance: Danny's polite discomfort, Andre's patient silence, and Bill's grin that never reaches his eyes. The air between them hums with unspoken words. Danny feels the old chemistry, not romantic, exactly, but familiar, dangerous, and magnetic. Every interaction pulls her back into the storm she spent years trying to escape. At home, Andre senses her restlessness. One evening, as the rain taps the windows of their shared apartment, he finally speaks. "We've been living like guests in our own lives," he says quietly. "Maybe it's time we stop pretending. Move in together. Make this real." Danny stares at him. The words are simple, but their weight is immense. She wants to say yes. She wants the calm, the stability, the safety that Andre offers. But the ghosts of her past still whisper. Marriage feels like a cage, even when forged from love. "I don't know if I can," she admits. "I've been someone's wife before. It didn't end well." Andre reaches for her hand, steady and patient. This isn't about a piece of paper. It's about choosing each other. She nods but doesn't commit. The silence between them says what neither can, that Dani still feels the pull of the life she once had, the man who still claims a corner of her heart. Bill, meanwhile, interprets her hesitation as hope. He convinces himself Dani's uncertainty means she still wants him. Every glance, every pause, every time she says his name feels like proof. He begins to manipulate that doubt, subtly, through the children. He tells Naomi that Andre doesn't understand family the way he does. He hints to Chelsea that her mother's choices might cause gossip at school. It's cruel, but Bill justifies it as protection. Then comes the confrontation. Andre runs into Bill outside Dani's house one afternoon. The tension is palpable, charged with all the things they haven't said. Andre doesn't raise his voice, but his words cut clean. "You keep showing up where you're not wanted," he says. "I'm here because Dani chose me." "You had your chance, you broke it." Bill laughs it off, but Andre doesn't flinch. "You think I'm some threat you can outmaneuver?" he continues. "But this isn't about control. I don't lie to her. I don't make promises I can't keep. I love her and I'm not ashamed of it." The final line lands like a challenge. Bill freezes, searching for a comeback that never comes. Andre's confidence disarms him completely. When Andre adds, "You're married to Haley now. Maybe you should start acting like it," Bill can't even pretend to disagree. Word of their exchange spreads fast, as everything in Fairmont Crest does. Anita, Bill's mother, hears fragments from a neighbor and calls him that night. Her tone is sweet, but her words sharp. "You're letting that man rewrite the story, William," she warns. "You have children with Dani. Legacy. Don't let some smooth-talking bachelor tarnish our family's name." Vernon joins in, urging Bill to remind Dani of her place, to reclaim what's his. They frame it as dignity, as responsibility, but beneath their rhetoric lies manipulation. They know how to pull Bill's strings through pride, through fear of losing face. Under their influence, Bill leans harder into the psychological game. He starts planting seeds in Dani's mind, quiet doubts about Andre's integrity, subtle jabs cloaked in concern. "You ever notice how he never talks about his past?" Bill asks casually over coffee when dropping off Chelsea. "People who keep secrets usually have something to hide." Dani brushes it off, but the remark lingers. That's how Bill works, not by force, but by corrosion. Then the storm truly breaks. Chelsea, already fragile from the chaos surrounding her parents, disappears one afternoon after school. Panic spreads through the family like wildfire. Dani's calls go unanswered. Bill's mind races through every worst-case scenario. It's Andre who organizes the search, steady, focused, unshaken. He coordinates with the police, tracks down witnesses, and refuses to leave Dani's side. For 48 hours, Dani leans on both men, Andre's composure and Bill's familiarity. The crisis becomes a mirror reflecting their true natures. Bill is reactive, emotional, volatile. Andre is methodical, quietly furious but grounded. When Chelsea is finally found safe, shaken but unharmed, Dani breaks down in Andre's arms. Bill watches, helpless, knowing he's lost another piece of her trust. But the relief doesn't last. Later that night, Dani discovers that Bill used Chelsea's disappearance as a pretext to dig further into Andre's history. He'd asked the investigator to pull old arrest records and credit reports, citing concern for Chelsea's safety. The betrayal infuriates her. "You used our daughter as an excuse to spy on him?" she screams. "What is wrong with you?" Bill tries to defend himself. "I needed to be sure. You don't know him like I do." Her laugh is hollow. "No, Bill, you don't know him at all." Still, Dani can't fully shut the door on him. The years they shared, the memories, the children, they're threads that don't sever easily. And Bill, sensing this, redoubles his efforts. He starts showing up with flowers for Naomi's recitals, volunteering at Chelsea's school, posting family photos that hint at reconciliation. The public eats it up, the image of a man trying to win back his family. Andre sees it too. And though he trusts Dani, the spectacle gnaws at him. He's not jealous of her past, he's exhausted by it. Every day feels like a tug-of-war between history and hope. Finally, he decides to confront it head-on. At a charity luncheon one attended by nearly every influential family in town, Andre stands up during his speech and makes an unexpected declaration. "There's been speculation about my relationship with Danny," he says. "Let me be clear, we are together. We're married, legally and by choice. I'm proud of that." The room buzzes. Cameras flash. Danny freezes. It's not that she's ashamed, but she hadn't planned to make their marriage public, not yet. She values her independence, her privacy. Andre's announcement, though well-intentioned, feels like a spotlight she didn't ask for. Bill's reaction is instant. His face hardens, his jaw tightens, and his hand clenches around his glass until the stem nearly snaps. Later, he confronts Andre outside, voice low but venomous. "You had no right to make that statement." Andre's expression remains calm. "It's not a secret, Bill. Maybe it hurts because you wish it were." The words strike deep. For the first time, Bill realizes the futility of his position. He is fighting a battle he can't legally win. Andre and Danny are husband and wife. Whatever gray area Bill thought existed has vanished under the light of truth. Still, he refuses to yield. He leans into subtle warfare: gossip, perception, reputation. He calls a few reporters he knows, plants stories hinting at cracks in Danny and Andre's relationship. He leaks an old photo of Danny and himself at a private event, captioned ambiguously enough to ignite speculation. The public swarms, dissecting every glance, every rumor. The pressure wears on Danny. Her social media fills with comments, some supportive, many cruel. She's confused. She'll run back to Bill. Andre's just a rebound. Each remark chips away at her composure. Andre tries to shield her, but the damage is cumulative. One evening, she sits on their couch, scrolling through the headlines, tears glistening under the glow of her phone. "They make it sound like I'm property," she whispers. "Like I'm some prize you two are fighting over." Andre sits beside her, his voice gentle but firm. "Let them talk. They don't know us." She looks at him, weary. "Don't they? Because lately, I don't even know who I am in all of this." That confession rattles him. For all his calm, Andre realizes love alone may not be enough to compete with history's ghosts. Bill's shadow looms over their every moment, not because Danny still loves him, but because he represents unfinished business. Bill senses her exhaustion and mistakes it for longing. He begins calling more often, offering to help with errands, bringing old photo albums for the kids. Danny lets him in literally and metaphorically, thinking civility might ease the tension. But every conversation circles back to the same unspoken truth: Bill wants her back. He frames it as destiny, as family, as the natural order of things. "We made something real once," he says softly one night after dropping off Chelsea. "We could have that again." Danny doesn't answer. Part of her wants to shout, to remind him of the betrayal, the manipulation, the sleepless nights wondering if love was ever enough. But another part, the tired, nostalgic part, hesitates. It's that hesitation Bill clings to, the sliver of hope that fuels his obsession. Meanwhile, Haley begins to sense the shift. She's no fool. She sees the distance in Bill's eyes, the way his phone lights up late at night. She doesn't confront him immediately. She watches, waiting for him to trip on his own lies. And when she finally does, the confrontation is surgical. "You're not jealous of Andre," she tells him coldly. "You're jealous of the man Danny becomes when she's not with you." The accusation lands harder than any shout. For the first time, Bill sees himself not as the hero reclaiming lost love but as the villain rewriting the past to soothe his ego. Yet even that self-awareness can't undo the addiction. The gossip intensifies. Anita, ever the strategist, pushes Bill to control the narrative. She suggests a public statement, perhaps a family photo shoot with Haley to reaffirm unity. Bill resists at first, but the pressure mounts. Meanwhile, Danny finds herself increasingly isolated, judged by strangers, pitied by friends, misunderstood by everyone except Andre, who keeps reminding her of their truth. Still, cracks begin to form. Danny starts spending more time alone, seeking clarity. She revisits old journals, memories, trying to discern whether her hesitation is fear or instinct. She loves Andre, she knows that. But she also knows love, once broken, never returns in the same shape. In quieter moments, She wonders if she married him too soon, if her heart was still tangled in the wreckage of Bill. Those thoughts shame her, but they're real. And that's where Bill finds his leverage. He calls her one night under the pretense of discussing Chelsea's grades, but the conversation turns. "You don't sound happy," he says softly. "I can hear it in your voice." "Don't do that," Danny warns. "Do what?" "Care?" she exhales sharply. "You care about winning, not me." But his tone stays disarmingly gentle. Maybe they're the same thing. That line haunts her long after the call ends. The next morning, a video surfaces online, a clip from the gala months earlier, showing Danny laughing with Bill while Andre watches from a distance. The caption reads, "Old flames never die." Within hours, it's trending. Bill swears he had nothing to do with it, but Danny doesn't believe him. The public scrutiny grows unbearable. Reporters camp outside her home. Commentators debate her morality, her loyalty, her sanity. Andre urges her to stay offline, to ignore the noise. But Danny knows the noise has become her reality. And somewhere in that storm of judgment, jealousy, and doubt, something inside Bill finally cracks. He starts showing up unannounced at Danny's work, at Naomi's dance classes, at places he knows Andre can't stand. He tells himself it's about the children, about protecting what's his, but the truth is darker. He can't stand the image of Danny living freely, laughing with another man. Every smile she gives Andre feels like theft. Andre, refusing to escalate, keeps his distance until the night Bill crosses the line. It's late, the city quiet. Danny and Andre return home to find Bill's car parked outside, headlights off, engine idling. He steps out, unsteady but calm, holding a stack of papers, documents from the investigator, old photos, fragments of Andre's past reassembled like a threat. "You think you know him?" Bill says, voice low. "You think he's some saint?" "He's hiding things, Danny." "You should have let me protect you." Andre steps forward. "Put it down, Bill." For a moment, no one moves. The air feels electric, charged with years of resentment and pain. Then Danny speaks, her voice trembling but strong. "You don't get to protect me anymore." The words hang between them like a verdict, heavy and final. But even as she says it, something deep inside Bill refuses to accept defeat. His jealousy, his love, his guilt all fuse into something dangerous. And somewhere, in the glow of that fragile moment, the story shifts again toward a reckoning neither of them can yet see coming. The night of that confrontation lingers like smoke. Danny doesn't sleep. Andre stays awake beside her, silent, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, the weight of everything unspoken between them. Bill's words echo in her mind, not because she believes them, but because they reveal how far he's fallen. There was a time when jealousy meant something raw and human, proof of love, maybe. Now, it's a sickness consuming him from the inside out. The next morning, Fairmont Crest hums with rumor. Someone recorded part of the confrontation. A neighbor's security camera caught the headlights, the shouting, the tension. Within hours, clips circulate online. Bill loses control. Danny caught in love triangle meltdown. Hashtags bloom like weeds. The town feeds on scandal the way others feed on air. Andre tries to shield Danny from the noise. He calls a lawyer, warns Bill to stay away, and arranges for temporary security outside their home. But Danny refuses to hide. "If I run, he wins," she says. "He wants me cornered, afraid." "I won't give him that." Instead, she throws herself into work, into parenting, into anything that feels stable. She walks Chelsea to school every morning, takes Naomi to dance class, fills her days with small, deliberate acts of normalcy. But the calm is fragile. Every phone buzz, every camera flash, every whisper in the grocery store feels like a reminder that her life is no longer her own. Andre notices the toll. "You can't carry all of this alone," he says one night, tracing the curve of her shoulder as she sits by the window. "Let me take some of it." Danny looks at him, eyes tired but soft. "You already have." "If it weren't for you, I'd be drowning." But even as she says it, she knows there's a distance growing between them, a quiet fault line that no amount of love can fully seal. Andre feels it too. For all his calm, he is haunted by a single, unrelenting thought: no matter what he does, Bill will always have a piece of Danny that he can't touch. Meanwhile, Bill spirals deeper. Haley, unable to endure the strain, moves out. Her final words cut through the illusion he's built. "You've been chasing a ghost," she tells him. "And you're the one haunting yourself." Left alone, Bill retreats into obsession. His home becomes a shrine of memories, old photos, newspaper clippings, fragments of a family that no longer exists. He plays recordings of Naomi's laughter, replays voicemail messages from Danny, scrolls through her photos like a ritual. He tells himself it's love, but even he begins to recognize the truth: it's possession. Then, as if fate itself wants to test every fault line, another storm hits. Chelsea's mental health begins to crumble under the weight of her parents' public feud. She lashes out at school, skips classes, isolates herself. Danny blames herself. "You made her feel like she doesn't belong in her own home," Bill accuses. Andre doesn't take the bait. "This isn't about me," he says quietly. "This is about what you've done to her sense of safety." But Danny hears the fracture in both their voices. She knows that if she doesn't take control soon, the damage will spread to the children, to Andre, to herself. So she makes a decision: a family meeting. All of them: Bill, Andre, Naomi, Chelsea in one room, one table, one brutal conversation. It's awkward at first, everyone watching everyone else. Naomi fiddles with her bracelet. Chelsea refuses to make eye contact. Andre sits beside Danny, calm but alert. Bill enters last, eyes hollow, wearing the mask of a man pretending he still belongs. Danny starts simply. "This can't go on," she says. "Whatever is left between us, anger, jealousy, history, it's tearing the kids apart." Bill looks down, says nothing. Andre breaks the silence. "Chelsea needs stability." "We all do." For a moment, it almost feels like progress until Bill snaps. "Don't tell me what my daughter needs," he growls. "You've known her for what, a year? 2? Andre's tone stays level. "Long enough to see what your pride is doing to her." The words hit their mark. Bill stands so fast his chair topples. "You think you're better than me? You think you can walk into my family and replace me?" Danny rises too, voice sharp. "Enough." Her shout freezes the room. For the first time, everyone sees the exhaustion in her face, the quiet strength beneath it. "This isn't about who's better," she says. "It's about who's still fighting when there's nothing left to win." Bill's anger deflates, replaced by something almost childlike: confusion, regret, the hollow ache of a man realizing he's lost not just love, but respect. The meeting ends without resolution, but it changes everything. Danny draws a line. She tells Bill that boundaries are no longer negotiable: supervised visits only, no unannounced appearances, no phone calls outside of family matters. Bill agrees outwardly, but inside, resentment festers. He can't accept being cut out of the story. He convinces himself Andre has turned Danny against him, that the kids are being reprogrammed. In his mind, he's the victim, the man who loved too much, lost too unfairly, and now must reclaim what's rightfully his. That's when Anita intervenes again, pushing him toward a final, desperate plan. "If you can't win her back," she says coldly, "make him unworthy of her." Bill doesn't ask what she means. He already knows. He rehires Calvin, the investigator, and this time, the instructions are explicit: find something, anything that can destroy Andre Dupree. Weeks pass. Nothing emerges. Andre's past remains infuriatingly clean. But Calvin, under pressure, digs deeper. It's nothing criminal, but spun the right way, it could ruin reputations. Bill leaks the story anonymously. Within days, headlines erupt: Andre Dupree's violent past, secrets behind Danny's new husband. The details are exaggerated, distorted, deliberately framed to imply danger. The fallout is immediate. Sponsors pull out of Danny's projects. Parents whisper at Naomi's school. Reporters camp outside Andre's office. The man who prided himself on calm suddenly finds his name dragged through mud he can't wash off. When Danny confronts Bill, it's not with rage but with heartbreak. "You did this," she says quietly. He doesn't deny it. "I protected you." "The world deserves to know who he really is." Her eyes glisten. "No, Bill. You protected your ego. You destroyed a good man because you couldn't stand seeing me happy." That night, Andre packs a bag. He says it's temporary, that he needs space to clear his name, to fight the lies without dragging Danny deeper into the storm. She begs him to stay, but he's resolute. "If I stay, they'll tear you apart too." The house feels hollow without him. Danny moves through the days like a ghost, caring for the girls, pretending things are fine. Bill interprets Andre's absence as victory. He starts calling again, offering help, suggesting family dinners. But Danny refuses every offer. "You don't get to rewrite this story," she tells him. "You only get to live with what you've done." Meanwhile, Andre begins his quiet war collecting evidence, hiring lawyers, exposing Calvin's tampering, tracing the leak back to its source. When the truth finally surfaces, the backlash turns swift and brutal. Bill's name floods the tabloids. Ex-husband behind smear campaign. Anita's influence unravels in public disgrace. Sponsors, colleagues, and even Haley distance themselves. For the first time, Bill stands alone, stripped of control, stripped of the illusion that jealousy was ever love. He tries to apologize, but Danny won't hear it. "You didn't just break trust," she says. "You weaponized it." And yet, beneath the anger, there's pity, a faint, lingering compassion for the man she once loved. Time passes. The scandal cools, replaced by newer gossip, fresher drama. Andre returns, his name cleared, his composure intact but his eyes older, quieter. Danny meets him at the pier where they first confessed their love. The air smells of salt and rain. "I never stopped believing you," she says. He smiles faintly. "You shouldn't have had to believe me at all." They stand there, hands brushing, the silence between them heavier than words. There's love still, but also scar tissue, proof of survival, not innocence. Meanwhile, Bill begins the slow descent into self-awareness. He sells his shares in the family business, withdraws from public life, and begins therapy. He reconnects with Naomi and Chelsea not as a father trying to prove something, but as a man trying to heal what he broke. He learns to listen. He learns silence. For the first time in years, he stops trying to control the story. But redemption doesn't erase consequence. Months later, at Naomi's graduation, all three adults find themselves in the same room again. The air is thick but civil. Danny and Andre sit together, fingers loosely intertwined. Bill sits 2 rows behind, quiet, composed, almost invisible. When Naomi walks across the stage, their eyes meet not as rivals, not as enemies, but as witnesses to the life they built, fractured, and somehow salvaged. For a brief moment, the bitterness fades. What remains is the shared understanding that love, even when it dies, leaves something behind, a reminder, a lesson, a scar that still beats faintly beneath the skin. After the ceremony, Bill approaches Danny. She braces herself for conflict, but his tone is different, softer, stripped of pretense. "I read something in therapy," he says. "That jealousy is just grief disguised as control. I think I finally understand that." Danny studies him. "Grief for what?" He exhales. "For the man I thought I was when you loved me." There's nothing to say after that. Danny simply nods. They stand in silence, the kind that feels less like distance and more like acceptance. Andre joins them, offering a polite handshake. For the first time, Bill takes it. There's no hidden tension. No challenge, just the faintest trace of peace. Life moves forward. Months later, Danny and Andre buy a small house outside Fairmont Crest, far from the noise and gossip. Chelsea starts therapy. Naomi leaves for college. Danny begins writing a memoir, though she calls it Notes on Surviving Love. In it, she writes, "Jealousy is the ghost that visits when you confuse memory for destiny." Sometimes she still hears Bill's voice in her dreams, not angry, but wistful. She hopes he's found his own version of peace. As for Bill, he stays in town, quietly rebuilding. He works with youth programs, mentors kids who remind him too much of himself. He never remarries, never tries to reclaim what's lost. But those who know him say he's calmer now, almost gentle, a man finally unburdened by the ghosts he once fed. In his living room, there's still one photograph on the mantel: Danny, Naomi, and Chelsea, taken years ago, not as trophies of a past life, but as reminders of the people who taught him the hardest truth of all, that love isn't about possession, it's about release. The town moves on, as towns always do, But Fairmont Crest never forgets. Every so often, someone brings up that wild year when jealousy tore through one family like a storm and left everyone changed. They talk about Danny's strength, Andre's grace, Bill's fall. Some say it was tragic, others say it was inevitable. But those who looked closely saw something else, not a story of defeat, but of transformation. Because in the ruins of everything broken, each of them found a new version of themselves. And when Danny stands on her porch at dusk, watching the light fade over the hills, she finally feels it, the quiet peace that comes when the past stops chasing you. She closes her eyes, breathes in the stillness, and whispers to no one in particular, "It's over."